Do you use sunscreen for your kids? If yes, then good. If no, then watch today's video to know this in detail. So, hey everyone, I'm Dr. Ankita Dhamecha, homeopathic consultant and a medical cosmetologist. And as of now, we all are much aware of using sunscreen and protecting ourselves from harmful UV rays. And we often protect ourselves, but we forget little kids. And there is so many things that people do not know and have many queries when it comes to photo protection for the little kids, like what is the right time to start using sunscreen or putting sunscreen on them, and what is the SPF they need. Kids can use adult sunscreen or not, and what are the things to look for when buying sunscreen for the children. Sun safety for the kids, especially during the summer, is of utmost important, as a maximum amount of the skin damage because of the sun is occurs during the childhood, as children have very thin and delicate skin that can easily be damaged by the ultraviolet radiation exposure. Now, using sunscreen is not that necessary when the kids go from home to school and back, or while playing on the ground early in the morning and late afternoon, because that much amount of the sun exposure is important for the synthesis of vitamin D, which is very necessary for the growing age. But despite of the fact that UV exposure occurs almost throughout the year in India, vitamin D deficiency is widely prevalent amongst the children and adults, and that shows dietary deficiency rather than lack of sun exposure, right? And that is why it has been suggested that approximately 15 to 30 minutes of sunlight twice or thrice a week is sufficient to produce the required amount of the vitamin D, along with vitamin D fortified food and supplementation if required, rather than increasing your UV exposure. So it is essential to get into the habit of applying sunscreen to the children or the kids older than the 6 month, when there is a chances of longer sun exposure during the peak hour of the day, and that is between 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Especially when you are out for a beach holiday or near mountains, where there is a higher chances of the burns, because 85% of the UV rays get reflected through the surface of water, snow, and sand. And this indirect UV radiation can significantly add to a person's overall exposure. So during that time, do not forget to use sunscreen for your kids. Also, do not forget to reapply, because most of the sunscreen tends to rub off within 2 to 3 hours, even if your sunscreen is water resistant. Now, if your kids tend to stay inside the home throughout the day most of the time, and only plays on the ground early in the morning or late afternoon, then you can skip applying sunscreen. And now, for the babies younger than the 6 month old and for the infants, you should not use any kind of the sunscreen, because their skin is really delicate. And other thing is that sunscreen has not been extensively tested on the younger babies, so we do not know what could be the reaction. But that doesn't mean the babies do not need sun protection, and for that reason it is advisable to keep the babies under younger than the 6 month old out of the sun as much as possible. Avoid going outside during the peak hours, between 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And if you go, then make sure you keep them in the shade and make them wear protective clothing. Here are few things that you should look for before buying sunscreen for the children. First, for the children, ideally you should go for the physical sunscreen over the chemical, with the hypoallergic ingredients like zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, which sits on the top of the skin, rather getting absorbed into the skin. Second, look for the label broad spectrum, which provide the protection from both UVA and UVB. Third, choose the SPF which is adequate but not very high. Between 30 or 50 you can choose, because higher SPF may have chances of the get greater concentrations of the ingredient that may cause the allergic reaction. Fourth, it should be water resistant, so that it can hold up against the sweat and water, so that your little one can play with the water, enjoy inside the water also. Last, be aware of paraben preservatives and artificial colors. So here I have few suggestions for the sunscreen that you can use for your kids. All of them may not 100% physical sunscreen, but are specially formulated to use on the kids and are clinically tested. So first is Cetaphil Sun Kit SPF30 and PA+4 rating. It is a hypoallergenic formula, and it has glycerin, aloe vera and vitamin E to nourish the delicate skin of the kids. It is also free from parabens and fragrances. Second is Fix Derma Shadow SPF20 plus with the broad spectrum protection, and this one is encapsulated form of the sunscreen which has no penetration into the skin. This one is also free from the paraben preservatives and sulphate. Third is Sebamed Baby Multi Protect Sun Lotion with SPF 50 and broad spectrum protection. This one is really oil free and non greasy formula without color additives and alcohol free. And now fourth is Avino Baby Zinc Oxide Mineral Sunscreen Lotion. So it has naturally sourced 100% mineral active ingredients. So because of that, it may leave white cast, and it may take little time to rub it in because of its thick consistency, but it's highly water resistant and does not sting babies eyes, and that is what we need, right? So highly recommended for the babies who have sensitive skin. The last is Banana Boat Simply Protect Sunscreen with SPF 50 and PA+4 rating. This one is 100% physical sunscreen, mineral sunscreen, and it's highly water and sweat resistant. This one is also free from any kind of the chemical ingredient like oxybenzone and octinoxate. Now, yes, you can use adult sunscreen on the kids if your sunscreen is 100% physical or mineral, because their skin is very thin and very absorbent. Now it's less likely to that the physical sunscreen can cause any kind of the irritation to the skin, but sometimes there are certain ingredient in the adult sunscreen that we are not aware of and that can be well tolerated by us, but not maybe not by the kids. So for to be 100% sure, do a patch test on their wrist to see if any kind of the reaction or rashes occurs, and if it does not occurs over the 2 days, then you can definitely use it on them also. Now, understand the best type of the sun protection is always prevention. So make sure to keep the kids inside during the peak hours, when the between the 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., when the UV index is really high during the summer in India. Take care, and do not forget to subscribe the channel to watch the video every single week. Thank you.